Hello universe and beyond. I'm back here on my YouTube Trains channel to offer you something different again. So as the barrister in the chase over here in the UK says, let's do this. First out today, and we've got this beautiful little 060 pannier tank in London Transport livery. Now she's a real old Hornby one, and I'm being a little bit nippy because she does tend to stall on some points, but she's great on modern track anyway. So let's just try and close this up. Oh, that was a bit hard. Sort of bashed him onto the buffer stop there. Oh dear, I think I can hear a wagon off. Oh no, disaster. Oh no. Oh, hang on, no, it's it's come across the point and it's pulled itself back on, which can actually happen on points, funnily enough. So yeah, let's just take this round first. Here she comes then. Super duper. I'm going to bring her onto line 2 in the middle here. Like I say, she does sometimes struggle on some of the points because she's just on borderline with the wheel flanges, but on the actual modern track itself, she's absolutely fine. Yep, bring her around to the end here for you. Okay, we're going to stop there because there's more happening in a second or two, and that is actually now. Now, here you can see I'm bringing this beautiful Blackman one out. I've got a guard's van and just one final truck there on her because it wouldn't all fit in the siding. So swing her around again as well. I'm just going to back her up onto the wagons that the pannier just pulled out. That's in steady, so that looks good. And, oh, perfect. That's what I call a perfect coupling. Right, I put 2 guards vans on this, brake vans, front and back. And I'll tell you why in a bit, but at the moment there she is, look, the Backman London Transport 262T, numbered L150. And as you would expect from Backman, sorry. Yep, great detail as always. Beautiful. Right, we'll just take this round and out of the way for a minute because there's obviously more stuff to come out. The reason I put 2 brake vans on, one at the front and one at the back, is because I have actually seen this done before on a video of an old sort of 60s video. Not quite sure, I don't see it very often, not quite sure why it would ever be done, so maybe somebody can tell me about that, why you would see 2 of them on a single train like this. But yeah, I thought it'd be just something different again, so we'll bring her just to here, so she's not in the way of everything else, and then we'll move on to the next item. Now I put that on the turntable out the way because you're going to see her again soon, but for now we've got this. I did feature her not too long ago in a video, but I had to feature her again today with it sort of being based on a London theme, of course. She is the Metropolitan Bobo, absolutely beautiful, made by Helgen, and a fantastic model. I have to say she's a corker. Now normally these would pull teak coaches, and as you can see I've just put 6 of the 4-wheeled ones on her for now. None of these do actually have a name on them. They are actually supposed to be LNER, which actually strictly isn't correct, but they don't say anything on them, so you know they're basically 4-wheel teak coaches. So yep, that's cool there. Let's move on to the next bit and you'll see what's coming out in a minute. And here it is. Right, London Underground stuff. Okay, I'll tell you more about it later, of course, that goes without saying, but here is the full 8-car rake of the S stock. Now I believe the proper term is S8 stock. As I say, I'll tell you more about them in a little while, but we'll just watch them come out real gracefully here. Absolutely lovely they are. Great set from Backman, all 8 of them. I will also tell you that they do have all the interior lighting, and these are the optional extras that you can get from the London Railway Museum, which are kits that you can put in each coach accordingly. They are battery operated and they automatically come on with any movement or sound. So yeah, you can see they're actually lit up now. Bring this through nice and gentle for you. Then we're going to get into the running session in a minute or so, obviously. There you go then, that's your first 3 for today's running session. So simple thing to do now is do it like this. You see the flashing light there inside, that is part of the lighting strips that come. That is supposed to simulate the sparking at the wheels. Now the LEDs are actually inside, and I'm going to extend the leads. I'm going to put them underneath, which will give a much more realistic appearance of the sparking on the wheels. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. Okay, off with the L150. Yep, cool. Well, that's 2 moving. So simple thing to do now is the third one with the Metropolitan number 20 and the 6 4-wheel coaches. So there you have it. We'll do some shots from all around the room as we always do, and I'll tell you some information about them as we go along. One thing that is not worth doing here is to tell you about any information on track 1, the Metropolitan number 20 there. The reason being because I featured her not too long ago in a series of videos I did, and you can find her in part 4, I'm very sure it's part 4, in which I did give you tons and tons of information about the Metropolitan Bobo Loco, and I see no point in repeating it. So the best thing to do is to just go and have a look at that video number 4, the sets that I did, which are called EMUs, DMUs, HSTs, blah blah blah, and more blah blah blah. So go and have a look at that part 4, and if you want to learn information about the Metropolitan Bobo Loco there on line 1. But of course I will tell you about this one, and of course the S8 stock. So hang around. So let me then give you some information on the loco running on line 2, the middle line, the class 4575, which of course is a 262T, and is quite often referred to as a small prairie tank. She was actually designed by Charles Collett. There were actually 100 of them produced between, oh goodness gracious me, 1927 I think, and 1929, so just a 2-year span there, and exactly 100 of them made. These were actually a slightly better or improved version of the 4500 class, which was designed by George Jackson Churchwood. They were originally designed to be a small mixed traffic branch line locomotives, obviously mainly used on branch lines. They were a development of Churchwood's 4500 class, which I've just said, but they had much larger side tanks and increased water capacity. 100 of them that were built were numbered 4575, which is this actual one, to 4599, and I believe the next few were 5500 to 5574. Another interesting point here about them is that quite a few of them were fitted with auto apparatus in 1953, I think, to enable them to be run as push-pull trains on South Wales lines using auto trailers. This one is obviously done as an L150 in the London livery, of course. But yeah, she's a beauty. So as you can clearly see, well, I've been giving you all that information on L150. I've been giving you some different angles and shots from around the room using the small camera. Excuse me. And what I've done it in what I would call dusk, which means the lights in the train room are turned out, but the landing light is still on, which gives it kind of a dusk appeal rather than pitch black. So hopefully you've been enjoying all of this. Here goes then now with some valuable information about the London Underground S8 stock. Let's do this. The S-stock fleet of the London Underground has been in use since 2010. It was made by Bombardier Transport in Derby. Now, as Derby is only about 20 odd miles away from Nottingham, I did actually once go to the factory and I had a guided tour round, and it was absolutely amazing to see it all. My only regret was that I didn't have a camera with me, but having said that, they mightn't have let me take photos anyway, or videos, whatever. So, anyway, the day was great. It was a fantastic day out. In total, to date, I think there was 192 trains ordered, which would be a total of, I think it was about 1,400 and something cars, which is a lot. And I also remember reading somewhere once that this order was the biggest single rolling stock order ever happening in Britain. And the total cost, I think, was in the region of about 1.5 billion. Get that, guys. This vast order was to replace all the old stock on the Metropolitan, District, Hammersmith and City and Circle lines. There were actually two types, what they call the S7 stock and the S8 stock. As I say, they serve different lines. The basic differences between the S7 and the S8 is the seating arrangement. I think one of them has the seats all facing longitude, is that correct? And I think on the other stock it's got both longitude and lateral or something like that. Anyway, all of them were fitted with air conditioning and low floors to ease accessibility for disabled people. And it's also possible to walk from one car to the next while the train is moving, unlike all the older trains on the underground network. We're now coming up to a fade out for this section of the video, but I will give you some more information about the S7 and S8 underground stock later on, so stay with me. On this section of the video here now then, you'll see I've got a couple of full length coaches there, and you'll see here I've added a couple more of the four-wheelers onto the back of the Metropolitan number 20. Now the reason I've done this is the original 6 which you've just seen running round, like I said earlier, they did not have any designation on them in whatever way, but the last 2 which I've added on, making 8 of the single wheelers, do actually say LNER on them, and I know it's not strictly correct because I don't have the correct coaches for her, but my friend Mike from London have kindly lent me these 2 on the end, these full length coaches. I forget the brand name of them. It's definitely not a common one, and you'd have to excuse me, I'd never heard of it. I think it's called Garda or something like that. I'll have to have a look. Anyway, look, there's the 2 full length coaches on the back, and as I sweep across you'll see the 2 more four-wheelers, which is those there, and they've got LNER on them. But springing around, basically what I've done, I've lengthened the train. It's not a massive difference, but again it is at the end of the day a difference, so we'll just get that through. Cool. Now again, not a massive change here, but what I've done, I've removed L150 and I've just put the Pannier L90 on. You saw her earlier obviously doing that little bit of shunting, but now she's actually doing a proper pulling, and we're going to see her going round. Yeah, all looking good. That's the 2 of them. And again we're going to feature the S stock here, or S8 stock. She's now going to go around in the anti-clockwise direction, which will enable me to give you some nice long shots along the room, as you probably already know from my other videos. It's a good shot when we're going in the anti-clockwise direction, so we'll just do that, and then please enjoy the show. Now whilst you're watching all of this, just have a quick look at this photo, this fabulous photo that I've found, which has got L150 and the Metropolitan double-headed together. It's a beautiful photo, it really is, guys. What a fantastic photo, eh? Absolutely adorable. A little bit earlier on I said I was going to give you some more information about the S8 stock of the London Underground. So let me just do that right now while it's still running round and fresh in our minds. After test runs, the passenger service actually began on the Metropolitan line. I think it was in July of 2010. Not quite sure of the day. I think by this December 2016, which is only a month away, I think all the old stock will be gone, and it will all be run now with all the new stock. The new stock has really good acceleration, particularly than the previous stock. I think it's something like 3 miles per hour per second or something like that, and the top speed I believe is just over 60 miles an hour. Or did I mention that it does have space for wheelchairs as well? Now the nominal voltage of 630, what they run on the London Underground, is going to be taken up to 750 volts. I'm not quite sure when that is going to happen. It will also allow for better performance and also for the increased power demands like air conditioning. So there's quite a bit of info for you, and as I always say, there's tons more on the internet, so if you want to learn more about it and you're interested in the London Underground stuff, go and have a look on Google. Okay gang, we're moving into the third and final part of this video with a London theme. Now I'm going to put Metropolitan Way because I want her off line 1 for a special reason. Now I'm going to tell you that she's not going to go into this siding without some problems. I've done a dry run and I know she's going to derail. It's the same old thing, this left hand point in the middle there, she's going to, yes, just there, so I had to do the edit, sorry, excuse me. A lot of stuff doesn't like it, but the ironic part about it is I've actually changed that point for a brand new Super 4-1 and it's still the same. So I don't know. Oh damn, that edit was a phone call. I'm keeping it nice and slow, hopefully, to get her in. Okay, she's doing okay at the moment. I can hear a bit of clicking and clattering at the back. Don't know what's happening at the back there, but I'm keeping my eye on the loco with the camera and taking it as slow as I can. Come on girl, I'm sure you're going to do this. I'm sure it'll get into the end. Come on, we're nearly there. Come on. Oh well, apart from that first derailment, the rest is fine. Now look, she's not going to go in this siding complete, obviously, because it's too long with the extra coaches, but as you can see, if I just pan across here, you'll see that all the coaches are actually off of line 1, which is great there, as you can see. So I'm not worried about that because I can change that point and we can move on now to the next part, which is this. Now obviously you've seen both of these locos. I haven't told you much about the pannier. I don't know if there's a lot to tell you about that, but I'll have a look and have a think about it. But basically I've just simply double headed them. That edit there, by the way, was another damn phone call. Right, yeah, I've double-headed them, as you can obviously see here. I'm just going to bring them round, and I'm going to bring them onto line 1, where we've just removed the Metropolitan. No change of the rolling stock, but just thought it'd be interesting to put them together as a double-header. Obviously, the livery or colours are not the same. The later stuff obviously would be a better livery colour on the pannier, but like I said earlier, it is an old Hornby and I'm quite happy with it. Slight stutter there on that changeover of mine, but no, she stayed on the track and we're rattling with the truck, but we are, we're doing it. Are we going to do it? Are we going to get all of it without a, yes, brilliant. Yeah, okay, I know the liveries aren't that identical, but I'm quite happy just to do it as a double header and a bit of fun anyway. It's what the whole thing about collecting trains and doing videos is. It's all about some fun. And there you go, that's those two. Right, now I'm going to bring out the S-stock again. I had obviously backed her into the siding where she started off, and I needed to do that to be able to clear the lines. This time, nothing super special really. I'm going to bring her around onto line 2 this time, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you and show you that I have got the coaches in the absolute correct running order. Because I know a lot of people are fussy about that kind of thing. So look, the first one coming through then, here we go, 21087. Just that one there. Then she's on to 22087, which is that one there. Then she's on to 23087, which is that one there. And then 24087, which is that one there. Then the numbers go the other way. It's 24088. then it's 23088, moving back down the scale, so to speak now. Then it's 22088, and on the very end we have got 21088. So there they are, in the perfect correct order. So you can't give me a thumbs down for that, because I've done it right. Right, okay, and last thing then for today's vid, here's something you've all been waiting for. Well, I assume you have if you saw my last video on the Isle of Wight 2-car set, the London Underground 2-car set that was taken over to the Isle of Wight. And yes, as you can see, I did find the time to illuminate the carriage D, which is the back one, and if you saw it flash then, yes, it is sometimes flickering on point, and I know I've got my anti-flicker circuit in it, but there is a reason why that's happening, and I'm going to change that, and I'll explain that to you shortly as we go on through the video. But let's just get around to the front. Yeah, another quick flash there of the D carriage. Get up to the front. Superb, absolutely spiffing. It looks like OO gauge and HO gauge, doesn't it? But in actual fact it's not, they're both OO gauge. The obviously Isle of Wight one is smaller in height, and I'll explain that to you later, what it's all about and why it looks so much smaller. But as I say, they are both OO gauge, scale. So stay with me again. Time then for the final running session. Starting off here on line 1 with the double heading of the pannier tank and the L150. Yep, we'll just get this one through and around. They look good together. I think they look great together. Yeah, looking fine to me. All doing well on the old Super 4 track there. Good. Next up then with the S8 stock. This time on line 2, and again in the anti-clockwise direction, so I can get some shots of the length of the room for you. So we'll take her around and through as well. Yeah, again looking fine. All doing a nice job here. Okay, and last up the 2-car set from the Isle of Wight. Beautiful! Okay, so we're all running, so yeah, let me just give you some information on 1 or 2 more bits. Now then everybody, what I want to do here is something that I always try and do, and that's be 100% honest with you. I am obviously aware what a pannier tank is, 060 PT. We all know what it looks like. But to be honest, I've never actually bothered to study them or learn about them until now. So I've actually got a few interesting things what I've discovered that I want to tell you about. First of all, the pannier tank is a type of steam loco that was built by Great Western Railway with the water tanks carried on both sides of the boiler. Originally they were planned for local suburban and branch line passenger work and basic goods traffic, but also for shunting duties and as a banker engines on inclines. So I assume that must mean a helping engine on inclines where one loco is not capable of doing the job. I also had no idea that most of the original ones were rebuilt from saddle tank locos. Which is a loco I made a mistake in a couple of videos back when I was running a pannier tank, the National Cardboard one, and I called it a saddle tank by mistake, and some of you have picked up on that mistake, and yes, thank you for letting me know. You were right to do so. Apparently, what the panniers had, they received a Bell Pair firebox. This is a type of firebox which has a square top, and it's not compatible with curved saddle tanks. Most of the conversions were done at Swindon Works by George Jackson Churchwood. And from what I've just read, only a small number of the saddle tank locomotives escaped being rebuilt as panniers. Now when you look at the list of how many panniers were made and how many saddle tanks were converted into panniers, the figure is I'm not going to try and have it all particularly right now, but it looks close on about 1,000. So goodness gracious me, there's a lot of pannier tanks that's been out there in the early days. Interesting, fantastic news, interesting through and through. Now guys, moving on to some information about the Isle of Wight two-car set in network Southeast livery, which you can clearly see here on line 3. Let me just say there is tons and tons and tons of information about the trains on the Isle of Wight available on the internet and Wikipedia. So I'm not going to try and tell you all of that, especially just going to look yourself if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. What I would like to tell you is one or two basic things. On the island line, on the Isle of Wight, and due to the isolated and rural nature of the Isle of Wight's railways, rolling stock has tended to be made up from displaced older vehicles, rebuilt or modified as required. Following the work undertaken during the line's closure during the winter of 1966-67, the ceiling of the right tunnel is 10 inches too low for standard national rail vehicle types to clear, which is why I pointed out to you earlier that it looks strange, the two of them side by side, as being looking a little bit like OO and HO, when in actual fact they are actually both OO gauge. This being the case, and since the reopening of the line in 1967, former London Transport tube stock has been used. These initial trains were formed of so-called standard stock, made up from 4 and 3 coach sets. And under the TOPS rolling stock classification system, which was introduced in 1968, I think, for locomotives, and a little bit later extended to multiple unit vehicles, these units eventually became Class 485 and Class 486. Of all the coaches and cars transferred to the island were built at various dates from around 1923 to around 1934. And at the time of doing this, these coaches and cars were actually among some of the oldest rolling stock running anywhere in the British railway system. I think it was in 1992 that these units were being replaced by newly refurbished London Underground 1938 stock, designated the class of 483. And this is exactly what you are seeing here, which are still, of course, in the network Southeast livery. And hey, check out this real photo of the real thing. Finally then folks, just to show you how I fitted the pickups to the D carriage, you can see them quite clearly there. I'm going to change that plastic stud for a nut and bolt like I did on the previous axle. I also need to increase the value of the capacitor because I'm using 12 leads and 1,000 microfarad is not enough. It needs to be about 3,000 or 4,000 to stop them from flickering. So there you go, that's it, you've got it all. Hope you enjoyed the show, so see you all, as I always say, good night, God bless, and bye bye.